Before diving in, if you want to support and help the channel branch away from YouTube AdSense, check out locals.com, which is linked down below. Videos are now made available on that platform ad-free, as well as in audio podcast form to monthly subscribers. Additional things like merch discounts, topic polls, and more are also offered, so check that out if you want to support. Thank you. All right, today we once again dive into the decrepit, predatory cesspool of esports organizations, this time discussing Inception Esports and an absolute odyssey of alleged corrupt, predatory, manipulative, and malicious behavior by a man named Matthew Brockett, also known as Spectipoo, among a host of additional possible aliases. This video will be based on an active investigation done by the user BXBullet, which leads to a series of events that pertain to everything from malicious botting, doxing, harassment, child exploitation, as well as sexualization of minors, blackmail, and hacking. That's not even the end of it, but the general takeaway for this preamble is that there is now a 7-year history of behavior that cannot be described as, should the overwhelming tidal wave of testimony and evidence be true, cannot be described as anything other than appalling. It all started with Matt, also known as Spectipoo. The journey kicked off with Venom grips, a previous gaming hardware resale endeavor by Matt, which would repackage and modify existing hardware under the claims of handmade products from start to finish. Effectively speaking, false representation of products and services, which he would then sell and ship to members of the gaming community. However, this is, relatively speaking, ancient history. The atmosphere surrounding Venom grips included botted social media accounts, as well as arbitrarily revoking giveaway prizes from winners for emotional and vindictive reasons, but for the sake of time and clarity, I will confine this section to the most rudimentary component. Venom grips, via Matt, from here on I'll refer to him simply as Specty, was engaged in deceptive business practices as far back as 2013. This all came to a head when Venom grips allegedly imploded. Statements from members and customers began to surface and the group fell apart under the strain, and in tandem, Specty kind of disappeared. This brings us to 2015 and 2016, when Specty re-emerged with a new group called Calm Gamers. This group would prove to be somewhat of a trial run for the eventual Inception Esports organization, in a way, and the business model revolved around sponsoring streamers and creators, except the giveaways and sponsorships were fake. Statements began to come out which showcased how Calm Gamers, synonymous with Specty for this period based on leadership and ownership, would manipulatively lie about brand sponsorships, fail to send actual items, and even, in some situations, threaten and harass different members. There are accounts about how he would threaten underage players with their own address, stating that he would send them adult items in the mail to get them in trouble with their parents. And not only that, but a video came out on YouTube from a previous female member, which very explicitly claims that she, as well as others, were sexually harassed by Specty, some of them being underage. Specty would threaten minors with lawsuits after having them sign fraudulent, unenforceable contracts which divulged their home addresses, and the entire thing exploded, much like Venom grips, when the community realized what had been happening and individuals started to come forward. This would set the stage for Inception Esports, Specty's largest endeavor to date, and one that is still causing severe harm to different streamers, even now despite being seemingly inactive. Inception Esports, apparently having a Twitter account since mid-2011, was perceived, with its prominent social media and outward-facing public image, as a legitimate business entity. This perception of authenticity made it easy for Specty to recruit, and recruit he did. The team began to grow and grow, onboarding a hefty amount of just chatting streamers, and the obligatory "I'm so excited to be with Inception" posts came rolling in. The entire atmosphere of this pathetic org industry is one of preening success. Fake it till you make it, and even if you don't make it, fake it some more. Individuals will hype up every single thing that they do. Joining Inception, keeping it 100, fire emoji, you get the picture. And Inception, much like all other fraudulent organizations I have covered, would hype them up right back. This matters because it led to a rapid increase in the roster size and set the stage for a monumental collapse as the alleged depravity of Specty came to light. Keep one thing in mind here. Specty has many different accounts. Some of the known current and past ones are outlined here. Enter the fake sponsors. Inception had a massive list of, quote, sponsors, unquote, ranging from huge household names like CyberPower, Turtle Beach, Corsair, and Dell, to lesser-known supplement and food companies. Some of the same sponsors from Calm Gamers appeared on this list as well, and the advertised access to this list would be an alluring bonus for speculative members. Except it was all fake. Specty would leverage this list and his alleged ability to get streamers partnered to sign more and more attractive, young, just chatting streamers, even going so far as, alleged by an inside source, asking existing members, "What do you think? Are they hot? should I let them in, before allowing further members to join. This is where we get to BX Bullet. Believing this operation to be legitimate, BX Bullet gave Specty her address to receive a free case of energy drinks. This matters a great deal. Specty now has BX Bullet's address. Soon after, BX Bullet alleges that Specty flirted with her inappropriately, and remember that the dynamics at play here are an org owner and a female streamer on his roster, to whom he provides incentives, even, as we learn later from certain members, fiscal paychecks and payments. BX Bullet very quickly began to suspect, with adjacent warnings from other current and ex-team members, that something was off about this group. The followers appeared to be botted, with incredibly low engagement ratios, and his behavior towards her was reminiscent of what had been happening for years. However, things really hadn't even gotten started yet. The next issue to see daylight regarded an underage girl turning 18, and Specty was, while a 14-year-old member was in chat with them, setting things up to ship her a custom glass adult toy for her birthday. Soon after this particular instance, there was a large group call with a number of just chatting streamers, in which one of Specty's administrators decided to turn on his camera and expose himself to the entire room. Keep in mind, this call was being hosted in a public channel on a server filled with underage members, and it was one of Specty's administrators who was responsible. Combine this with the fact that many of the packages coming from sponsors were actually shipping in Amazon boxes, as well as the glass adult toy incident with a minor present, and the picture begins to form that this org was not being used for or managed as a legitimate business enterprise. Something else was going on. As time went on, these things, among many others, came to light, and members began to leave in droves. Specific allegations came out, such as the ones from BX Bullet herself, and additional claims began to pile up as well. The behavior of administration towards young users was put on display, and ultimately the same scenario began to unfold as had previously occurred with Venom grips and Calm Gamers. However, just a flash flood became an absolute tsunami. It turned out Specty had allegedly admitted to sending animal waste to a player instead of merchandise as revenge. It was claimed he would post member private addresses in his Discord as retaliation for perceived slights, and there were additional instances of sexualization aimed at underage women. This is where things start to ramp up. Apparently, between 2016 and 2017, Specty had a proclivity for sexualizing children. Not only were these minors underage, but they were also paid members of his roster by self-proclamation. He would habitually discuss adult themes, even advertising, for lack of a better term, a fetish toy website as an official sponsor to a server filled with children, some of whom he held direct financial power over. Enter Ye. Ye was a 16-year-old member who identified as gay, and Specty would quite often insert him into the conversation when other members expressed their own similar sexual orientation. Specty would advertise to members that his OnlyFans had sexual imagery. He would make sexual innuendos and comments to Ye rather frequently, and all of this contained on the predominantly underage team Discord. Not only that, but Ye appeared to be writing an erotic book about two fourth graders at or around 10 years old who were engaged in an explicit romantic relationship, and Specty seemingly expressed that he was reading and enjoying this fiction. There were other instances of what appeared to be, in my completely amateur opinion, coded language, such as "I'm making ice cream for little boys at Dairy Queen, gotta keep it sketch," and the full picture included allegations of female streamers being asked for nudes in order to move up in the organization, and numerous other problems. Most troubling is one particular message from Ye, extremely sexual in nature, to which Specty replies, "Not here." The subtle and alleged implication is that this exchange might be happening elsewhere, just not in this one specific public channel. At one point, a previous member of Inception came forward, highlighting a situation that very well might have been a revenge porn endeavor by Specty, in which he created a nudes channel for his administrative staff. And recall that when we say administrators, we are also referring to individuals such as the one who exposed himself to a full room of young just chatting streamers for no apparent reason. And in this nudes channel, Specty would post pictures of a girl stating that she had sent them and said it was okay for him to post for everyone. The previous member who came forward was 16 at the time and extremely uncomfortable with all this. This is also when we learned that Specty would pointedly ask members, "Is she hot?" before recruiting new female streamers. And also the nudes channel inexplicably disappeared soon after, with a simple statement by Specty that she had become uncomfortable with it. But this does not negate the fact that sharing such imagery with underage users on purpose is not how a respectable organization should be run. But still, we're just getting started. Specty would routinely send false contracts to users as young as 14, possibly even younger. These contracts were fake. and did not even include parental signatures. They also claimed that should these underage users leave the team, they would need to pay Specty because of that. They were locked in financially. He would ask for bikini pictures when young female streamers joined, and the testimonial became a tidal wave so large it would have tipped the Poseidon. Now, though, we get to revenge. Specty was not going to go quietly into that good night. He was going to rage against the dying of the light. His first wave of retaliation came against 3 users by the names PieChubber, Eagle Owl HD, and Miss Marissa. Recall that he had pointedly asked to flirt with Miss Marissa in private chats. The tactic was to bot their channels with malicious messages, attempting to get them banned, and when confronted live, he implicitly admits to being the architect.
Alright, so I took a screenshot of the highlighted thing, and I'm not the one to mess with, bro. Like, I've said this before. Now,
you know what?
evidently, go ahead, ban me, go ahead.
Oh, are you getting mad?
No, not at all, I'm just annoyed.
It sucks, right? It sucks. Yeah. Well, when you guys all fucking lie and stuff, what do we think? We're not gonna retaliate? I told you it was gonna be bad. See ya.
You're botting my channel? That's your retaliation?
I didn't do anything. Personally, I didn't do anything.
I'm sorry, this guy named Specty Poo Bodyguard is botting my channel.
I am doing it. What are you talking about?
Except even better, the hacker live streamed the botting process with extensive video evidence showing exactly what happened and how, as well as who was truly responsible. This began a wave of botting that targeted all those previous members who had left in the mass exodus prior and should already, by itself, be enough for Twitch and Discord to take permanent action. Specty was heading a partnered Discord server, had a partnered Twitch team, and yet, nothing. There was evidence uncovered that dated back years where Specty would leverage and weaponize botting to retaliate against anyone and everyone he could. Specty's behavior would then become erratic and strained. He would allude to self-harm, later expressing that it was just to mess with their heads. He would threaten BX Bullet in private messages with court proceedings, and it turned out that his history of sending malicious packages might come into play. Finally, Specty posted a twit-longer apology which addressed virtually nothing and seemed more like a shallow attempt at deflection. Later on, further exacerbating all previous issues, it became known that Specty had a special role in his Discord for underage members called Padawan, which made it distinctly clear that he was aware of who was and was not underage. This brings us back to the issues of sexual content, explicit imagery, suggestive messages, and other material a partnered Discord server owner should not be engaging in under an esports organization banner, which largely appeals directly to minors. This is the point where BX Bullet attempted to work with law enforcement. The effort found little traction as she was bounced between agencies, but soon after, things ramped up again when it was discovered that Specty had directly hired a hacker. This hacker seemed to be more intent on posturing than anything else, but still, hiring a criminal to execute vengeance against previous team members who spoke out about sexual misconduct and other alleged impropriety, things were definitely escalating. In July of 2020, Specty came back with a new account called I'm Not a Moose. Specty denied this account was his at first, but he was unfortunately recorded directly claiming ownership and even stating how he came by the moniker. This is where the story turns from esports drama to anonymous impersonation. Yes, the hacking collective. Specty created this account to embed with hacktivists on Twitter. Hacktivists who have genuine goals and would never approve of this type of behavior. Specty, via his false anonymous Twitter account, became friends with another individual named Leylulsboat. This was a person who was, at the very least, far more legitimate in the world of hacktivism than Specty himself, and their partnership, as Specty lied to him, created new issues for previous Inception members. These two, as a pair, would go after members who no longer wanted to be associated with the org, and all of this because Specty was lying to and manipulating Leylulsboat. Well, this all fell apart rather quickly when Specty admitted in private messages what had been going on and claimed to be imminently on the verge of self-harm. To prevent this, BX Bullet called the local authorities who then visited Specty's address, which he would claim in the future was a malicious swatting attempt. Specty would later admit with direct audio confirmation that he did all of this, including fake self-harm, changing Twitter handles, and more, to confuse and deflect, confirming a great deal of what was previously mere allegation to be true. This is when Specty really came after BX Bullet personally. He would exchange her personal details and home address with other hacker individuals on Discord, insinuating or outright stating that he wanted terrible things to happen to her. This continued for quite some time, and in the interim, BX Bullet, being a private investigator, if you remember, contacted the list of sponsors in light of no law enforcement or criminal response, and discovered that they were all fraudulent. The companies had no idea and would pursue action to discontinue any association if they could. Back to the hackers. Things were about to implode spectacularly in this arena. Leylulzboat, a more legitimate presence in the hacking arena than Specty without question, came in contact with BX Bullet and when confronted with her various claims, demanded evidence. And she had it. Upon discovering the whole truth, Leylulzboat purged the previous doxing Discord, outed Specty on Twitter to his fullest extent, and severed their connection. Specty's embedded manipulation of hacktivists had come to an end. This brings us to Specty's final attack on BX Bullet. What followed was a flurry of new accounts, malicious claims, and frankly, harassment. He would post her private address beneath tweets, he would post her info as his profile information, he would bot her stream relentlessly with horrible messages, which continued up to her recent resignation from Twitch entirely a mere few days ago. His username list grew and grew. That activity continued, and his renamed Twitch channel, Raiden's Reign, is still active, along with his partner Discord server, as of the scripting of this video. The walls soon came closing in, but not completely. Ex-administration from Specty's server came forward with further allegations that he had sexually harassed minors, faked giveaways, sent nudes of women he exploited to other members, and targeted, through botting or other malicious activity, anyone who ever spoke out in opposition. It continued and continued more and more until finally, at one point on BX Bullet's stream, her 3-year-old daughter ran into the room through the doorway purely by accident and shirtless. This was clipped by someone, and Specty saved the image to blackmail BX Bullet. That is a half-naked picture of a 3-year-old. He would go on to claim that Twitch would now ban her if he wanted them to, and eventually backpedal and pretend not to have actually saved the image, but this, along with the claim that he was visiting her area, her physical area in person, on top of everything else that we have discussed, paints a picture that is hard to look at with anything other than disgust. What's true here? I can't say for sure. At bare minimum, it's a roller coaster of bad decision-making by dozens of people, indicative of the fraudulent, disgusting reality of esports organizations. But what I can say is that there is a 24-page document with everything I have shown you and more, which I will link down below in the description. You can make up your own mind, and at the end of the day, there is categorical, undeniable, irrefutable proof that this individual maliciously bots people with hate messages, widespread, and his Twitch account is completely untouched. In a world where children enter the space at younger and younger ages, we must be increasingly vigilant against bad actors, and since the community is clearly operating in a nebulous state of self-policing, awareness of these issues beyond the simple social circle they pertain to can be important when widespread allegations of serious misconduct come out. But that's it. If you want to support, links down below, but that's already long enough. I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.